Hello everybody and welcome back to Chris Bosch Props. Today we are doing another video on the Proton Pack. I've been working quite hard on it and I wanted to go through how I attach every main piece or main part of the Proton Pack shell, such as the ion arm, vac tube, Clippard. You can see I've already started working here, adding in some plastic inserts. But I'm going to go through and show you guys exactly how I attach each part to help you with your Proton Pack build. This is a general overview and pretty much what you would do universally on any Proton Pack, not just a 3D printed Proton Pack. So let's get started, and let's start with the first piece, which is the ion arm, because it kind of has its own system of itself. And what I mean by that is there are multiple parts on the ion arm. So let's go through, let's attach everything, and I'll explain how I did it. Really simple. We got our resistors here. I made a little adapter for the hole there. The main hole can be used for a real resistor, but I'm just using a resin printed one. The attachment is a little bit smaller, so I 3D printed and modeled an adapter. It goes in there like so. In its finality, it will be epoxy glued in. So for this other resistor, I inserted an epoxy glued inside 440 plastic inserts. These are epoxy glued in, and that is going to assist us in placing our resistor in there so that it's threaded. Now we could start it with our fingers. For our ion arm block and rod, all I did was use 1032 inserts. These are epoxied. The holes were drilled out and the inserts were epoxied in. Really simple. Bam! This ion rod, this block and rod, comes from GB Fans. It's incredible. Eventually I'm going to age it and make it look more of that aged brass copperish type look. For the 4mm elbow, really simple, guys. All it does is it just goes right in there like so with tension. For the other resistor, same thing, 440 inserts. You will use 440 socket cap screws. And for the Clippard elbow, we are going Ghostbusters 2 style. So that goes right here. In Ghostbusters 1, there is a Clippard elbow that goes right here on the ion arm rod, but we're not doing Ghostbusters 1, we're doing Ghostbusters 2. And that goes in there like so. And voila! We now have our Ghostbusters 2 resin printed ion arm. So we're going to attach this to the pack. I attached it using 1032 inserts that I drilled out and epoxy glued here. I also used some 2-part epoxy putty because the edges of the insert came out a little bit. So I added a little bit of putty, and we're going to attach this from the inside of the Proton Pack shell. So let me show you how I do it. So I have some 1032 screws right here, and we're going to attach these from the inside of the shell. They also have a washer that I added just for added support and structure. So you could see, guys, we are underneath the shell here. And we're going to finish this off by using a screwdriver, a Phillips screwdriver, and screwing all those in. And voila! We are attached and we are sturdy. So that's how you do the ion arm. We will attach the end filter next, and this was super simple. All I did was super glue in some 1024 T-nuts that are behind this plate here. And the same thing as the ion arm, it will attach from the inside of the shell. We'll go ahead and put it on. So I take the screw and I just feed it from the inside. Screw on our in filter here. And bam, we are attached. Very nice. Next, we will attach the injectors. Same concept as before. We attach the screws from the inside. The injectors have 1032 inserts on the top. Tilt level. We also have 632 inserts on the side for the L bracket that runs right here. We'll get to that part next. So for the L bracket, we have 632 button head socket cap screws like this, and we will attach those so we have our screws here on the inside. I'm going to go ahead and feed the injectors and then just kind of start threading it with my fingers. A little stubby screwdriver will work good for this. And voila, those look awesome. On the shell, I heated some 632 inserts, pressed them in. You'll put your 632 socket cap screw, your button head socket cap screw to be exact. So now we are going to attach the bumper here. And for that, what we're going to do is we're going to use my 3/4 inch spacer here. I 3D printed that, or I modeled it and 3D printed it. We're going to take our 2.5 inch 1/4 20 screw, and we're going to run it from underneath, just like so. Put our spacer on like that. We are going to center, get our bumper on that screw, and then bam. We have our Ghostbusters 2 bellow here. I glued in a 1/4 20 T-nut with super glue inside of the bellow. And it attaches on there. I'm going to put my hand underneath to keep the screw in place. And bam, now the bumper's in place. We need to add in the side bolts. And we use 1/4 20 socket caps with brass washers. Some of the holes are still tight, and you could actually just screw it in. They're kind of like threaded, but you don't want to trust that. So those socket cap screws are going to protrude a little bit in the inside of the shell. So all we're going to do is add some washers like so. And then we're going to add on a 1/4 20 nut. I'm not going to fully tighten these with a socket cap wrench. I just want to show you how I'm going to attach it once the shell is complete. And that's how we're going to do it. Same thing on the other side. Next, we will attach our resin Clippard. These use 832 screws, and we have 832 inserts that were heat pressed in. Just line it up with the threads once you get the threads in. And we have our vac tube. It has also a 1032 insert that is glued in. This is epoxy glued in. And it is going to attach right on top of there with a screw from the inside. Here's our screw. Start just feeding that on there. Next, we will attach our HGA. Same thing, 1032 insert that was epoxy glued in. These are just drain holes for the HGA because it's resin printed and you have to drain your excess resin, so those don't really matter. The main thing is that we have an attachment point. You will see on the shell I have two different holes, and that's just because of the placement. On the Superhero, it's a little further, like closer to the motherboard. On the Venkman pack, it's a little closer to the ribs here. Feed your 1032 bolt from the inside. There we go. We can just use the space that we have to screw the HGA on. That's the HGA attached, and it looks great. Nice and sturdy. Next we will do our beam line and filler tube. Same concept. 1032 inserts that are glued in. And we are going to attach from the inside of the shell. Beam line and filler tube. Bam, nice and attached. Next we will move on to the booster tube. Same thing, 1032 inserts. The front ones use 832 inserts for the booster frame. The booster plug is just attached with tension. I'll probably glue it in later with some epoxy, but right now it holds pretty good with tension. So we got that in. Let's go ahead and attach this. The booster frame, I have some 832 socket caps that I'm going to attach to these 832 plastic inserts that were heat pressed in. And we're just going to line up the screws to the hole. Got our booster frame attached. So I have this really amazing crank knob that Julio de Alonso 3D modeled. It is a three-piece. It has a top piece, the body portion, and it has an insert in there. I also put an 832 insert so that the screw can feed from the inside of the shell and attach it. A really, really clean model. You can see the set screws there. Extremely accurate to the movie. We're going to go ahead and attach it. This is a 2-inch 832 screw. We're going to attach the crank knob from the inside of the shell. We're going to attach our PPD next. This is resin printed. It has an 832 insert in there. Take our PPD. Our resin printed Legree straights just go in those holes. These are drilled out. One of the holes I had to modify. It was just a little too high for me, so I re-drilled a new hole and brought it a little bit lower. It could have been left, but I wanted to add my own touch to it. There we go. Our ribbon cable clamp attaches directly to the shell with 632 socket cap screws and 632 inserts that are heat pressed into the shell. You just line it up with your insert there. And I'm just going to hand tighten it for now. Bam. For our Clippard elbow, I put a little adapter in there that I modeled and 3D printed to fit Julio de Alonso's Clippard elbow. It just fits on there like so. Elbow, that just fits right in perfectly. Eventually that will all be painted up and glued in. I also have this booster tube weld that I 3D modeled. It just goes right in there. This is resin printed, so you could tell the weld detail is really, really good there. And it'll just drop in like so. Eventually, the booster weld will be epoxied in. So last but not least is our Ghostbusters 2 V-hook. I had to modify this file from Julio de Alonso. I just added in some countersunk flathead screws there. But it actually attaches from the inside of the shell. I put 832 inserts. As you can see there, and we're just going to attach it from the inside of the shell. We started the screw here. Going to line it up with our insert, and then I'm just going to hand thread it. Our Ghostbusters 2 V-hook is attached. We'll do another video on how I attach everything on the wand. It's super simple, but just kind of to give you a quick idea, because we're about to put it on the Proton Pack to kind of show what everything looks like. The bottom plate and gun track are attached with 632 plastic inserts. Those are all heat pressed into there. I'm going to put this on real quick and let's get it on the pack and let's see what everything looks like with the parts on. I'm super excited. This is actually going to be my first time with you guys seeing everything on the Proton Pack together, so let's get to it. Okay, let's attach our wand here. And let's look at our Proton Pack, our 3D printed Proton Pack. And it looks incredible, guys. It is going to look amazing once everything's painted up. I really just wanted to attach every single piece so that when this is all cleaned up and painted, all we got to do is just screw all the pieces on and we're done. And I don't have to worry about damaging the shell once it's cleaned up, textured, yada, yada, yada. And then some of these other pieces will be glued in. So I wanted to give you guys just a general idea of how to attach each individual piece to a Proton Pack. So a lot of the information in this video is pretty much universal to any Proton Pack. You could attach all the parts like so. On the original Proton Packs, the screen used, everything was attached with pop rivets, which to me isn't very practical because if you ever wanted to get those off, you got to drill out the pop rivets. Using threaded inserts on your resin plastic pieces is a good and great alternative. If you're using metal parts, you can also just drill and tap the metal the same way an insert acts for plastic. It'll just be threaded in directly into the metal. If you're going to pay more money, I didn't really want to use real aluminum parts on this. This was actually a lot cheaper. Once painted, as you can see those welds there, you're not even going to be able to tell the difference whether this is aluminum or resin. Look at those welds. So yeah, guys, I hope this video was helpful for all of you. I'm super excited to finish this Proton Pack. This took me quite a bit of work. I forgot how meticulous building a Ghostbusters Proton Pack is, with the numerous amounts of screws, the sizes, the types. So yeah, expect a lot of trips to Ace Hardware or Lowe's if you are building a Proton Pack at the moment. So yeah, I hope this video was helpful, guys. Again, thank you for watching, and we're on to the next one.